Admiral Larry Moore stood at the command deck of the UES Horizon, watching the massive Galactic Council station grow larger on the viewscreen. After decades of deep space exploration, humanity had finally encountered other intelligent species, hundreds of them, all part of an ancient interstellar coalition. "Communications established, sir," reported Lieutenant Daniel Hayes from his station. "They granted us docking permission." Moore nodded, straightening his uniform. "This is history in the making, people. Let's make Earth proud." The Horizon was Earth's finest ship, the flagship of humanity's small but capable fleet. Accompanying them were two escort vessels, the UES Valiant and UES Discovery, 3 ships total, all that Earth could spare for this momentous first contact. As the human vessels approached the massive station, they passed enormous warships belonging to various council races. The Zoraxian dreadnoughts stretched nearly a mile long, bristling with weapons. The elegant Viridian ships glowed with a strange blue energy unknown to human science. Captain Olivia Franklin stepped beside Moore. "Their ships make ours look like toys," she said quietly. "Size isn't everything, Captain," Moore replied with a slight smile. "Our technology has taken a different path." The 3 human ships docked at the designated bay, drawing curious stares from station personnel. Moore led his delegation, Franklin, Hayes, and 5 other officers, through the massive doors into the council chambers. The chamber held representatives from over 20 species. The Zoraxian delegate, General Krax, towered 9 feet tall with scale-covered skin. Ambassador Lyria of the Viridians appeared almost humanoid except for her silvery skin and eyes that changed color as she spoke. "You may approach," rumbled the council chairperson, a massive being with 4 arms and glistening eyes. Moore stepped forward confidently. "I am Admiral Larry Moore of the United Earth Defense Force. We come seeking peaceful relations and knowledge exchange with the Galactic Council." Murmurs spread through the chamber, many sounding dismissive or amused. "These are your vessels?" General Krax asked, gesturing to a holographic display of the 3 human ships. "Your entire fleet." "These 3 ships represent our exploration division," Moore answered carefully. "Earth maintains additional forces for defense." The Viridian Ambassador Lyria tilted her head. "Such tiny vessels. How do you travel between systems with such primitive designs?" Captain Franklin stiffened beside Moore, but maintained her professional demeanor. "Our FTL drive technology is quite efficient," Moore explained. "We'd found that compact vessels with focused capabilities serve our needs effectively." This prompted laughter from several delegates. The humans appeared to be at least a century behind standard council technology, announced a small insect-like delegate. "Perhaps they should be classified as a developing species." Moore maintained his composure. "We may approach technology differently, but I assure you Earth is an advanced civilization. We seek equal partnership in the galactic community." The council debated among themselves, occasionally glancing at the humans with what appeared to be amusement or pity. While waiting, Lieutenant Hayes whispered to Moore, "Admiral, I've been scanning their technology. They've never developed certain systems we take for granted: miniaturized quantum computing, adaptive shielding, precision targeting systems." Moore nodded slightly. "Let them underestimate us." Finally, the council chairperson addressed the humans again. "The council has decided to grant Earth observer status only. Full membership requires technological parity and significant territorial holdings. Your civilization is not yet ready." Moore accepted this with a diplomatic nod. "We appreciate the opportunity to learn from the council. Earth looks forward to proving our worth as potential allies." As they left the chambers, Captain Franklin spoke quietly. "They think we're primitives." "Let them," Moore replied. "They measure advancement by size and raw power. They mock our tiny fleet because they don't understand us." Hayes smiled. "Wait until they see what our ships can actually do." "I have a feeling they'll find out soon enough," Moore said, looking back at the massive but cumbersome alien vessels. "And they won't be laughing then." 6 months had passed since humanity's introduction to the Galactic Council. The Earth Defense Force had maintained its observer status, quietly learning about the various alien civilizations while revealing little about themselves. Admiral Moore sat in his office on Earth's orbital command station reviewing reports when Captain Frank Miller's urgent transmission came through. "Admiral, the Horizon has detected a fleet of Centauri ships near the Jupiter colony. At least 15 warships, heavily armed." Moore frowned. The Centauri Dominion had been increasingly hostile in recent weeks, demanding tribute from Earth's outer colonies and claiming parts of human space as their traditional territory. "Are they within weapons range of any civilian settlements?" Moore asked. "Not yet, sir, but they're definitely positioning for something big. My science officer has been analyzing their shield configurations." The screen split to show Grace Williams, a brilliant physicist serving as science officer on Miller's scout ship. "Admiral, the Centauri use a standardized shielding system common throughout the Council. It's powerful but inflexible. Our adaptive shields and precision targeting could exploit several weaknesses their engineers have never addressed." Moore nodded. "Good work, Williams. Return to Earth immediately with your data." Within days, the Centauri ambassador arrived at Earth's orbital station demanding an audience. Moore met him in the diplomatic chamber, joined by Captain Olivia Franklin. The ambassador, a tall, gaunt humanoid with violet skin, looked around the room with obvious disdain. "Admiral Moore, I am Ambassador Thrix of the mighty Centauri Dominion. I bring terms from our high command." "Terms for what, exactly?" Moore asked calmly. Thrix's lips curled into a smile. "Terms for your submission, of course. The Dominion requires immediate access to Earth's resources and control of your outer colonies. In exchange, we will provide protection." Franklin stepped forward. "Protection from what?" "From us," Thrix said simply. "Your species is new to the galaxy. Your technology is primitive. Your fleet is." He paused to laugh. "Tiny. The Centauri Dominion controls over 60 star systems. We have thousands of warships." Moore maintained his composure. "Ambassador, Earth has no interest in conflict, but we will not surrender our sovereignty or our colonies." "Then prepare for war," Thrix sneered. "Your pathetic fleet will be destroyed within days. The Council has already been informed that we are disciplining an unruly newcomer. They will not interfere." After Thrix departed, Moore called an emergency meeting with his command staff. Commander Samuel Green, Earth's top tactical officer, presented his analysis. "The Centauri expect us to fight conventionally," Green explained, pointing to holographic ship models. "Their vessels are massive, heavily armed, and designed for broadside engagements, but they're also slow with predictable attack patterns." "Can our ships withstand their firepower?" asked Franklin. "Not in a direct confrontation," Green admitted, "but they don't know about our maneuverability advantages or precision targeting systems. We don't need to destroy their ships, just disable them." Moore studied the tactical display. "How many ships can we deploy to the Jupiter colony?" "3, sir," replied Green. "The Horizon, Valiant, and Discovery." "3 ships against 15?" Franklin asked. Moore smiled slightly. "Quality over quantity, Captain. Besides, the Centauri are expecting us to either surrender or fight stupidly. Let's surprise them." Later that day, Moore addressed the Earth Defense Council via secure channel. "The Centauri believe our technology is primitive because our ships are smaller than theirs. They mock what they don't understand. We've kept our true capabilities quiet during our time with the Council, and now that gives us an advantage." "And if we lose?" asked one counselor. "Then humanity learns a hard lesson," Moore answered honestly. "But I believe in our people and our technology. The Centauri are about to discover that the size of a fleet matters far less than the ingenuity of those who built it." The morning came when sensors detected the Centauri fleet approaching New Horizon, Earth's largest outer colony. 15 massive warships moved in attack formation, their hulls gleaming in the light of the distant sun. Captain Olivia Franklin stood on the bridge of the UES Horizon, flanked by her two escort ships, the Valiant and Discovery. Just 3 tiny vessels against an armada. All stations report ready, Captain. Lieutenant Alice Cooper announced from Tactical. Franklin nodded. Open a channel to the Centauri flagship. The view screen flickered to reveal Lord Vex, the Centauri commander. His violet skin was adorned with ceremonial war paint, and his eyes widened slightly at the sight of just 3 human vessels. Is this a joke? Vex laughed, his voice booming. You send 3 insignificant ships to defend your colony. Where is the rest of your fleet? This is all we need, Franklin replied calmly. We request that you withdraw from human territory immediately. Vex's laughter grew louder. Your bravery is admirable but foolish. I will make an example of your pathetic fleet for the entire council to see. The transmission ended, and Franklin turned to her crew. Remember your training. They expect us to fight like they do. We won't. Centauri vessels powering weapons, Cooper reported. They're moving into standard attack formation. Deploy adaptive shields. Prepare evasive pattern Delta, Franklin ordered. Weapon systems to precision targeting mode. The Centauri opened fire, massive energy beams cutting through space toward the human ships. But instead of taking the hits directly or attempting to flee, the 3 Earth vessels executed a series of tight, coordinated maneuvers that seemed impossible for ships their size. The Horizon spun on its axis, rolling beneath the Centaurid fire, while the Valiant and Discovery split in opposite directions. Their shields shimmered oddly, adapting their frequency to minimize damage from each hit. They missed most of their shots, Cooper reported with surprise. Their targeting systems can't track our maneuverability. Now it's our turn, Franklin said. Target their propulsion systems and weapons arrays. Disable, don't destroy. Earth's ships fired their weapons, not the broad, powerful beams the Centauri used, but precise, focused pulses that struck with surgical accuracy. Where Centauri weapons rely on overwhelming force, human weapons targeted specific vulnerabilities. First target disabled, Cooper announced as one of the Centauri vessels listed to the side, its main engines dark. The Centauri responded with fury, concentrating their fire on the horizon. Franklin's ship took several hits, but its adaptive shields redistributed the energy, minimizing damage. They're trying to surround us, Franklin observed. Execute scatter pattern Bravo. The 3 human ships broke formation, each moving in seemingly random patterns while continuing their precise attacks. 2 more Centauri vessels lost propulsion, a 3rd lost weapons capability. On the Centauri flagship, Lord Vex watched in growing horror as his supposedly superior force was systematically disabled by 3 ships he had mocked moments earlier. Impossible, he muttered. Their technology. It can't be. After 30 minutes of battle, 5 Centauri ships drifted powerless in space. Not a single human vessel had been destroyed. Lord Vex is hailing us, Cooper reported. Vex appeared on screen, his arrogance replaced by barely contained rage. This battle is a temporary setback. The Centauri Dominion will return with our full might. We'll be waiting, Franklin replied calmly. As the remaining Centauri ships retreated, Franklin noticed a small vessel at the edge of the battle zone. Observers from the Galactic Council, watching everything. Looks like we had an audience, Cooper noted. Franklin smiled slightly. Good. Let them see what humans can do. Later that day, Admiral Moore received Franklin's battle report along with a message from the Council. The official statement dismissed the human victory as a fluke, attributing it to Centauri incompetence rather than human capability. Let them think that, Moore said to his staff, underestimation is our greatest advantage. The Council still mocks our tiny fleet, but they're watching us now. News of the human victory spread quickly through Galactic Council space, though most species dismissed it as Centauri incompetence rather than human capability. Behind closed doors, however, the Centauri were not taking their humiliation lightly. In a secret meeting chamber on the Zoraxian homeworld, Lord Vex knelt before High General Drax of the Zoraxian Empire. "The humans made us look weak," Vex hissed. "Their ships are small but contain technology that defies our understanding." Drax's scaled face remained impassive. "The Council believes humans are primitive newcomers. You suggest otherwise. Their ships move in ways ours cannot. Their shields adapt to our weapons. Their targeting systems are perfect." Vex's voice trembled with a mixture of rage and fear. "We need your help to eliminate them before they grow stronger." "What do the Zoraxians gain from this alliance?" Drax asked. "Access to Earth's resource-rich colonies and research rights on their technology." Drax nodded slowly. "Then we have an agreement. The human problem will be eliminated." On Earth, Admiral Moore addressed the Defense Council with new intelligence. The Centauri have formed an alliance with the Zoraxians. Together, they control nearly a third of Council space. "Can we appeal to the Council for protection?" asked one counselor. Moore shook his head. "I've tried. They view us as paranoid primitives who got lucky in one battle. They refuse to believe the Centauri would waste resources on us." Engineer Ryan Wilson, a quiet genius who rarely spoke at such meetings, cleared his throat. "Admiral, I've been developing a new stealth system for our ships. It masks not just visual and radar signatures, but also the quantum emissions that Council races use for detection." Moore raised an eyebrow. "How soon can it be deployed?" 2 weeks for the first 3 ships," Wilson replied. Moore turned to Captain Patrick Jones, commander of Earth's Intelligence Division. "Jones, I need you to lead a covert mission. Take the stealth ships once they're ready. We need to know exactly what the Centauri and Zoraxians are planning." 2 weeks later, Captain Jones guided his stealth-modified vessel through Zoraxian space. The ship, named Shadow, slipped past massive defense platforms without triggering a single alarm. "We're approaching the command station," Jones whispered, though there was no need for quiet in space. His crew worked silently, recording everything their sensors detected. Lieutenant Kelly Peterson monitored communications. "Captain, I'm intercepting massive data transfers between Centauri and Zoraxian military networks. Can you decode them?" Peterson worked quickly. "Partially. It's a battle plan. Multiple fleet movements." Her face paled. "Sir, they're planning an assault on Earth itself. At least 200 ships." "Get everything you can," Jones ordered. "We need to warn Admiral Moore." The combined Centauri-Zoraxian armada appeared at the edge of Earth's solar system exactly as intelligence had predicted. 200 warships, arranged in battle formation, moved steadily toward humanity's homeworld. Admiral Moore watched from the command center on Earth's orbital defense station. 30 human vessels formed a defensive perimeter around the planet, seemingly insignificant against the approaching wall of enemy ships. "Council observation vessel has taken position at the designated coordinates," reported Lieutenant Hayes. "They're settling in to watch our defeat." Moore nodded grimly. "Let's hope they're recording everything. Open a channel to all Earth Defense Force ships." The Admiral's face appeared on every vessel in the human fleet. "This is Admiral Moore. The moment we've prepared for has arrived. The enemy believes victory is certain because they count ships instead of capabilities. They mock our tiny fleet while trusting in their numbers. Today we show them their mistake." Captain Miller's voice came through on the command channel. "Quantum torpedoes armed and ready, Admiral. Fighter squadrons prepped for launch," added Lieutenant Natalie Ross from the carrier UES Intrepid. Moore took a deep breath. "Execute defense pattern Omega. All ships, reveal your true capabilities." The human fleet suddenly transformed. Stealth fields dropped, revealing that each vessel was surrounded by dozens of autonomous combat drones that had been invisible to enemy sensors. Earth's orbital defense platforms activated, showing weapon systems far more advanced than anything the Council races had seen before. On the Zoraxian flagship, General Drax stared in confusion. What trickery is this? Their fleet has somehow multiplied. The first wave of Centauri ships opened fire, expecting to overwhelm the human defenses with sheer firepower. Instead, the human vessels executed maneuvers that should have been impossible, their adaptive shields flaring brilliantly as they absorbed and redistributed energy from enemy weapons. Captain Miller's squadron surged forward, launching the experimental quantum torpedoes. Unlike conventional weapons, these passed directly through enemy shields, as if they weren't there, materializing inside the hulls of 5 Zoraxian dreadnoughts. The weapons didn't destroy the ships. They simply disabled key systems, leaving the massive vessels drifting helplessly. First wave of enemy ships disabled, Miller reported calmly. Lieutenant Ross led her fighter squadrons in attack patterns the Centauri and Zoraxians had never encountered. The small craft moved in perfect coordination, exploiting blind spots in enemy targeting systems that Council races had never thought to address. From the Council observation vessel, representatives watched in stunned silence as the supposedly primitive human fleet systematically dismantled ships 10 times their size. "Impossible," whispered the Viridian observer. "Their technology. It's beyond anything we've seen." The Centauri-Zoraxian alliance tried to adjust their tactics, but humans had spent months preparing for this battle. Every enemy adaptation was met with a counter they hadn't anticipated. Admiral Moore directed the battle with calm precision. "Remember your training. Target propulsion and weapon systems. Minimal casualties." 3 hours into the battle, a third of the enemy fleet drifted powerless in space. Another third had retreated to regroup. The final third pressed their attack with increasing desperation. On the Zoraxian command ship, General Drax raged at his tactical officers. "How are they doing this? Their ships are tiny. Their fleet is a fraction of our size." "Sir," a junior officer replied hesitantly, "they're not fighting by Council warfare doctrines. Their technology followed a completely different evolution path. They don't need size because their systems are elegant." In Earth's command center, Moore watched as Captain Franklin's squadron executed a perfect flanking maneuver that disabled the propulsion systems of 7 enemy vessels simultaneously. "Sir," Hayes reported with a hint of amazement in his voice, "the Council observation vessel is requesting permission to move closer to better document this historic engagement." Moore allowed himself a small smile. "Permission granted. Let them see exactly what humans are capable of when underestimated." As the battle entered its 5th hour, cracks in the Centauri-Zoraxian alliance became visible. Several Zoraxian commanders had pulled their ships back, refusing orders from Centauri leadership to press forward into what had become a killing zone. General Drax has moved his flagship to the rear of their formation, Lieutenant Hayes reported to Admiral Moore. "The Centauri ships are continuing to attack, but without Zoraxian support." Moore nodded. "They're abandoning their allies. Open a channel to all enemy vessels." The Admiral's image was broadcast to every ship in the opposing fleet. "This is Admiral Larry Moore of the Earth Defense Force. Your alliance is fracturing. Your ships are being disabled, not destroyed, because we prefer to avoid unnecessary loss of life. I offer terms for immediate surrender that will guarantee the safety of all your crew members." On the Centauri command vessel, Lord Vex smashed his fist against a console. "The humans offer us mercy. After they humiliated us? Never." But around him, his officers exchanged uncertain glances. Nearly half their fleet drifted helplessly in space, disabled but intact. The humans could have destroyed them all, yet chose precision over devastation. Meanwhile, several Council races had sent secret communications to Earth's diplomatic corps. The Viridians, impressed by human technology, proposed a defensive alliance. The Talari, a normally neutral species, offered resource-sharing agreements. "Sir," Hayes said with surprise, "we're receiving surrender signals from 23 Centauri vessels." Moore allowed himself a brief smile. "Acknowledge them. Direct Captain Franklin's squadron to secure the surrendered ships and provide medical assistance if needed." The remaining Centauri forces, seeing their comrades surrender, gathered for one desperate final assault. Lord Vex, commanding the last functional battle group, directed all his ships to target Earth's orbital command station. "If we fall, we take their leaders with us," he shouted. Captain Franklin's voice came urgently over the comm. "Admiral, they're making a suicide run on your position. We can't intercept in time." Moore remained calm. "Activate defense pattern, Echo. Deploy the drone shield." Hundreds of autonomous drones, hidden throughout Earth's orbit, suddenly converged between the oncoming Centauri ships and the command station. As the enemy opened fire, the drones linked energy fields, creating an impenetrable barrier that absorbed the massive barrage. "Drone shield holding," reported Hayes. "Captain Franklin is moving to counterattack." Franklin's voice came through clearly. "Deploying EMP warheads. Non-lethal takedown in 3, 2, 1. Specialized electromagnetic pulses rippled across the Centauri ships, shorting out their control systems without harming organic life. One by one, their lights flickered and died. From the Council observation vessel, representatives watched as human ships immediately began rescue operations, dispatching teams to ensure life support remained functional on disabled enemy vessels. "They fight with unmatched precision, then save the very enemies who sought to destroy them," murmured the Viridian observer. "Perhaps we have misunderstood humans entirely." On Lord Vex's ship, emergency lighting cast harsh shadows as systems failed around him. A communications officer approached cautiously. "Sir, the humans are offering to evacuate our wounded. Their medical technology. They say they can save those we considered beyond help." Vex stared silently at the view screen showing Earth's undamaged orbital station. "We came to annihilate them," he said quietly. "They had every right to do the same to us." As the battle concluded, Admiral Moore addressed his exhausted but triumphant fleet. "Today you've proven that the true measure of a civilization isn't the size of its ships, but the character of its people. We fought not to destroy, but to defend. Remember this victory not for the enemies we defeated, but for the way we chose to win." The Council observation vessel transmitted everything back to Galactic Headquarters. For the first time in centuries, the Council's fundamental assumptions about military power were being questioned. The species who had mocked humanity's tiny fleet now watched in silence as those same ships rescued survivors from the wreckage of their supposedly superior armada. The Galactic Council chamber had never been so crowded. Representatives from every member species packed the enormous hall, all eager to witness the emergency session called to address the human question. At the center of the chamber stood Admiral Larry Moore, still wearing his battle-worn uniform. The Council chairperson, a massive being with 4 arms, brought the meeting to order. "This emergency session will now begin. Recent events require us to reassess humanity's status within galactic society." Moore stood calmly, aware of the hundreds of alien eyes fixed upon him. 6 months ago, in this same chamber, these beings had dismissed humans as primitives with a tiny, insignificant fleet. Today they looked at him with a mixture of fear, respect, and curiosity. "Admiral Moore," the chairperson continued, "your species has defeated a combined Centauri-Zoraxian assault force, 5 times your fleet's size. This calls into question our previous assessment of human capabilities." Moore nodded. "Thank you, Chairperson. Earth came to the Galactic Council seeking friendship, not dominance. The recent conflict was forced upon us, but we hope it leads to better understanding between our civilizations." The Zoraxian representative, no longer General Drax, but a lower-ranking official, stood to speak. "The humans hid their true capabilities from us. This deception. We did not hide anything," Moore interrupted firmly. "We simply didn't boast about what we could do. You assumed our ships were primitive because they were smaller than yours. That was your mistake, not our deception." A murmur of agreement spread through the chamber. The chairperson gestured toward a technical display. "Our analysis of human technology has revealed remarkable innovations, unknown to Council science. We request clarification on how your species developed such advanced systems with comparatively limited resources." Engineer Ryan Wilson stepped forward, carrying a small device? The answer is simple. While council races focused on building bigger ships with more powerful weapons, humans focused on efficiency and precision. Wilson activated the device, projecting a hologram showing the internal components of a human ship beside those of a Centauri vessel. Your ships, Wilson explained, pointing to the Centauri design, waste nearly 40% of their energy output. Your weapon systems prioritize destructive power over accuracy. You build enormous vessels because your technology requires that much space. He shifted to the human ship. We developed in isolation, without the influence of established galactic engineering principles. Our limited resources forced us to maximize efficiency. Our weapons are precise because we can't afford to miss. Our shields adapt because we can't absorb as much damage as your larger ships. The council representatives studied the display with newfound respect. Captain Olivia Franklin joined Moore at the center of the chamber. Humanity doesn't seek to dominate. We offer full technological exchange with all peaceful council races. Together, we can create something better than either of us could alone. The Viridian ambassador stepped forward. My government proposes granting humanity full council membership immediately. Their perspective could benefit us all. One by one, other representatives voiced their support. Even the Centauri, represented by a new ambassador after Lord Vex's disgrace, grudgingly acknowledged humanity's right to council membership. The chairperson raised all four hands for silence. It seems the consensus is clear. By unanimous vote, Earth is granted full membership in the Galactic Council, with all rights and responsibilities therein. Applause echoed throughout the chamber, a sound never before heard in council proceedings. As the session concluded, Captain Franklin approached Moore. Quite a change from 6 months ago, wouldn't you say, Admiral? Moore smiled slightly. Indeed, they mocked our tiny fleet until they saw what it could do. Now we have to prove ourselves worthy of their respect in peace as well as war. 1 week later, Captain Franklin stood on the bridge of the UES Horizon, leading the first cooperative defense initiative with former enemies. Alongside her human vessels flew ships from 6 council races, including several Zeraxian cruisers, all incorporating elements of human design. As the combined fleet moved into formation, Franklin couldn't help but smile at how much had changed. The galaxy had learned an important lesson. Never judge a civilization by the size of its fleet, but by the ingenuity, courage, and moral compass of its people.